Hello and welcome. My name is Judith Pinto. I'm the practice advisor at the Alberta College of Occupational Therapists. The purpose of this video is to walk you through the entire 4 steps of renewal. This video is being recorded in January 2025 and is current. So to begin, you're going to go to acot.ca, enter that address in your web browser, which will take you to this web page. You're going to click on the registrant login button, which will walk you through the 4 steps of registration. And that's where we're going to go in the next little segment, but I'm going to begin by orienting you to these resources that can help you do that. So on this main page, you're going to click this button, Continuing Competence, which will take you to the Continuing Competence page. And there are several options here. I'm going to click CCP Resources on the left. And when we go to CCP Resources, we have this image and we scroll down. And here are a number of the resources. One that you might find helpful in terms of being able to complete your self-selected learning activity would be the Continuing Competence Program Comprehensive Step-by-Step Guide. It actually gives you detailed information on and examples of how to complete the goal, the initial reflection, the learning activity record, the learning activity record reflection, and the goal status reflection. As you scroll down, you'll see the listing for all of the CCP meetups that are currently ongoing to the end of February. All of the dates and the links will open up into your Zoom. And at the very bottom, the 2025 refreshed CCP resources, which includes the step-by-step registration renewal guide, which walks you through the 4 steps of renewal without giving you the detailed instructions on how the CCP itself works in terms of how to set goals and the kinds of things that reviewers might be looking for in the reflections and your goal setting. And this second link here is it's a tip video on updating your employment profile. It actually will walk you through your entire personal profile. The employment profile component being probably the most significant segment of it. There will be other links down here as well, including probably this video. So this is a little meta. So what we're going to do is go back to the main page for ACOT. This hasn't changed much, but when you log into acot.ca, this is what the page will look like. And this top button, Registrant Login, is where you're going to go. And you're going to click Registrant Login. And it will take you to this, where you're going to then add your username in the top section and your password. If you can't remember those, you can go to Forgot Password. And if you're having other login issues, you can call ACOT at 780-436-8381. So I'm going to pause this recording and actually take you to a test account. I've created a fake occupational therapist. It's not anybody's real account or real information. And I'm going to walk you through how this fake OT is going to go through their renewal process. All right, so here is the fake registration environment and the fake occupational therapist. So I've recorded the entire renewal process. It's about a 45-minute video, so you can speed this up if you need to, or slow it down if you need to, and take it as you wish. You can pause it when you need to and help you walk through that. So let's get started. Awesome is going to enter her name and her password and click Login. Now, again, if she had forgotten her login password, she would click Forgot Your Password. And if she had other login issues, she would call 780-436-8381. But she's good to go, so we're going to click Login. And here we have the home screen during renewal. We have the Home button. We know we're on the home screen because there's the house there in the top left corner. And that complete my renewal for 2025-2026. So if she were to cancel it, she would click the Renew button beside the word canceled. But she is intending to renew her general practice permit. And so she's going to click the Renew button beside the word general. If you were a provisional OT, instead of general, you would see the word provisional there. So here we go. You can see the 4 steps of renewal at the top of the screen. Step 1, the profile update. Step 2, the 2024-2025 learning plan. And then steps 3 and 4, the 2025-26 learning plan and renewal. So we're at profile update. Going to be able to scroll down. And if you want access to ACOT's guide to registration renewal, you can click there. Or you can read the information on the screen. Awesome's going to confirm her registration number, her gender identity, date of birth, and age. Ideally, all of those things are automatically populated from previous years and are accurate. Right below that is a new section that has been requested by the Canadian Institute for Health Information. It includes racial background and Indigenous identity. If you prefer not to answer, you can click Prefer Not to Answer in both columns. Otherwise, you can select the description that most accurately suits how you identify. Next is current name. Please do confirm that the current name is accurate. If you need to make changes because you've had a legal name change, you would want to do so at this point. Please note that legal name changes will require administrative approval because you will need to upload documents that prove that you have a name change to request. So let's just walk you through the name change process. We're going to click Add, and it opens up the little gray block where you would enter if there's changes to the, well, you'd have to enter first and last name in terms of what you want that new name to look like. Both of those are asterisked. And then you would need to upload government-issued identification, clicking that button there. If you run into any issues with uploading, please reach out. Below that is current address. And what you need to confirm is that your street address is accurate, that your city is accurate, and that your postal code is also accurate. If you need to make changes to your street address, you would click the Add button. And again, the form opens up right below, and you would make whatever changes you need to make. We're going to not make changes today so that it takes away some of the complexities of having to find a fake document to upload. And we're going to go below that address then to contact information. And that includes your mobile phone number. Make sure that that is accurate. If you still have a home phone, a landline, please check that and include that information here. And finally, the email address. This is the email address that ACOT uses to communicate with you. Please ensure that that is an email address that you have access to. It is not connected to a specific employer. Some employers' firewalls may not let ACOT e-news get through, and you may miss information. Below that is a section on spoken written languages other than English. If you speak or write in a language other than English, you would click that Add button, and a very long list of language options will be available to you to choose from in alphabetical order. You will also get to select whether you have a strength in speaking or writing or both. Awesome does not speak any other languages, so we're going to close that. The next section is education. Your education specifically related to your degree will be found in that first block. So she has a BSc OT that was granted in 1997. If there was non-qualifying education that she has earned subsequently, she would click that Add button and would be able to pick from a list of programs, everything from a Bachelor of Arts to a PhD. All of those are listed in alphabetical order, and there is even an other option. So let's say she's going to get an MSc. In terms of adding the institute that came from, that's where we'll do that. But let's just click Field of Study first because it's an easier drop-down menu. There is a list again in alphabetical order. And if there's the field of study is not in that list, she can always pick other field of study and include that there. So hers is education. And now she's going to look for the institute. When you look for the institute, you start typing with a little typo, university, and then the database sort of opens up below. And as you continue to type, you'll find either the correct one to choose from, and then the date that that degree was received. You would scroll through using that calendar app, or you could type in the information too directly. Now that list did not automatically select the university. So she's going to try again here. And for the sake of this example, for whatever reason, the University of Alberta is not populating. So we're going to back up and we'll just find a new space so that you can see what that looks like. There we go. So she's picked the City University of New York. That's where she got the degree. Now, if the institute is absolutely not available in that list, you would need to enter the name, location, and phone number in the space below. So let's show you what that looks like. We'll delete that and we'll start typing in University of Essex. So you can see that that little red circle with a line through it indicates that University of Essex is not in ACOT's database. So Awesome is going to have to start typing University of Essex. And she would need to include the address and a phone number. And of course, she would need to add supporting documentation. So if you do not have the institute listed, you do need to add that into that text box. The supporting documentation would need to be uploaded from the computer. So that would probably be the degree or a transcript, something to prove that that degree was actually conferred. Now this is non-occupational therapy related degrees. So we're going to delete this because we're not going to try and upload. That starts to get a little bit more complicated in this, creating a fake therapist to do this with. All right, the next section is employment. So the first is employment status, and the default seems to be unemployed. So we're going to click on that the little arrows, and we're going to find the correct employment status. Let's roll that down a little so we can see the whole list. There we have employed at the very top, on leave from work, on long-term disability, maternity leave, paid leave, parental leave, paternity, short-term disability, unpaid leave, retired, retired because of age, retired because of disability, or unemployed. So we're going to go with employed because she's going to need to enter some hours. If you do not have employed set here, it will be very hard for you to enter currency hours. The system won't allow that. So you need to also then decide if are you employed in the profession, not in the profession, or if you're not seeking employment. So she's employed and is not looking for employment. And yes, she is employed as an occupational therapist. So she's going to put in a yes, employed in the profession. In this next section, you're going to enter any eligible practice hours where you've worked virtually, in person, in another province or country, which requires registration to practice in that location. Or if you've worked outside of Alberta or outside of your Alberta employers, whether working for an out-of-province or out-of-country employer or practicing in a country that does not have a regulatory body, or if you've done volunteer work. So Awesome has not been in any of those situations, so she's going to enter a 0 for 0 hours there. As we scroll down, she has a current employment, current employer with Alberta Health Services, and has that listed here. In this box, she's going to be able to enter her practice hours. She's taken the time to look at her statements or vacation allotments and subtracted that from her total number of working hours and has entered 1,500 hours. This next section below here will need to be filled out. So she has the option when she looks at the role that she plays in her employment situation, everything from administrator to supervisor in alphabetical order. She is a direct care provider. She's going to enter the contact phone number. And if she were no longer working there, she would want to enter an end date, but she's still currently employed there. So we're going to leave that section empty. Now, her work status, is it casual, full-time, or part-time? She works part-time. And she works part-time by choice. She's not looking for a different FTE. The age range is, and in her case, it's school age from 5 to 17, and her main area is pediatrics. So let's just take a look at that drop-down menu, though. It ranges from adults in alphabetical order all the way down. And primary area of practice is also a long list in alphabetical order. Awesome is choosing pediatrics as her main area of practice. All right, now Awesome is a permanent employee, but here are the other options. Take a look and decide which suits you best. And then, of course, source of funding. She works for a public government agency. The percentage of time that she spends doing virtual care, she currently has the options of everything from never to more than 50% of the time, or unknown. Now for her, she's put in less than 10%, and she does work at multiple sites. And then in terms of methods of care, the first kind of approach is in person. And so she's going to click that. Second method of care that she uses for this employer is by telephone. She often provides consultations over the phone. And the third method of care is, with this employer, email. Below that section are other areas of practice. So above, she's entered pediatrics as her main area of practice. Below that is the full list, everything from administration all the way to wound management service, W. So in alphabetical order, going across and down. Take your time to look through this list and find your second and third areas of practice for that particular employer. You can only click on 2 additional boxes. If you click on more than, it will not save and give you an error, so that'll be a place to check. So if you need to add an additional employer, of course, you would click the Add button and complete all of that information for your second employer as well. So let's just sort of show you how that particular drop-down will work if you're choosing an employer. As you start to type, the options that are available will populate. Now, let's say Awesome has her own private practice, and it's not coming up because she hasn't registered it with ACOT yet. She will still need to fill out all of those. It will still have that red circle, and it will need to be approved by the admin team. And so at the bottom here, it says, if your employer is not available in the list above, please enter the name, location, and phone number here, just like with the university when we were trying to add another certification for her. So her name is Awesome's Private Practice, and she is going to provide an address and a phone number. And yes, ACOT's admin support team will need to go through this and approve that and add, actually, Awesome's Private Practice to the drop-down menu. And in the box to the right there, she can add in practice hours. However, if we submit it this way, it will go into admin review and we won't be able to progress. So we're going to just leave this one as the only employer for right now. I'd really like this video to kind of give you a way to progress. So there's her 1,500 hours. Again, she's put in 1,500 hours there. She had 0 for volunteer. Oops, my mistake. She needs to add that to make that 1,600. I made that change because if she's got less than 1,550, it could cause us hiccups in making the next steps. So I'm just wanting to avoid that. So 1,600 hours. This will show up in the 2024-2025 section on that chart right above. Now, if she had any questions about how to fill that out, there's that little question mark near where the cursor is that opens up. to give you details about what qualifies as practice hours. In the restricted activities requiring advanced authorization, the only restricted activity that requires advanced authorization is acupuncture. And if you have gone through the process of requesting approval to be on the acupuncture roster, you know that you need to check that box. If you have worked in other jurisdictions, and I'm going to just freeze frame here. If you have worked in other jurisdictions as an occupational therapist, so any other jurisdiction in Canada or internationally, or have worked as another health profession, as any other regulated health profession in any other province, including Alberta, actually in any province, including Alberta, or internationally, this is where you would add that information. And so when we look at all of the options for the different occupational therapy regulators, including the one that is occupational therapy outside of Canada, if you are registered with one of them, please check off the right box. And if you are registered as any other health professional from Alberta on all the way through any of the provinces or territories, please check off the right choice there, and including other jurisdiction outside of Canada. So let's say that Awesome is also registered with the OEQ. So she's going to enter the registration number for her license with the OEQ and the expiry date, which, because it's an annual license, will expire. We're going to say April 1st. Actually, because that would probably need to be approved, we're going to delete that so that it avoids us getting stuck with admin reviews and not being able to progress to steps 2, 3. So the final is consent to share information with SAOT. If you're agreeable to that, click yes. If not, click no. And here you would click either save for later or next. If you click withdraw, everything that you've done, every change you've made up to this point in this recording will have been deleted. Let's click save for later though, because I would like for you to see what the main screen looks like. Either of those, save for later or next, will save the work that you've done. So we're back to the home page because we click save for later. We can see that we can still update our personal profile. That update button is available. And for some reason, we're still not able to get it to the learning plan. So we're going to click update again. Just going to problem solve this here. We have answered all the questions. And actually, let's just click next. There we go. I think when we click save for later at that point, it decides that it's like, oh, you want to come back to this. So let's just not progress you. So now we are on the 2024-2025 learning plan. And we have the 2 tabs for college selected learning activity and the member selected learning activity. You need to complete both before you're going to be able to progress any further in renewal. This tells you you are in the 2024-2025 continuing competence program. This gray block gives you all of the information you need to progress through completing your CCP. So do take the time to read it. All fields marked with a red asterisk are mandatory. Your session will time out at 30 minutes, so use the Save for Later button at the bottom of this page often so that you do not lose your information. That can be very disappointing. The other alternative is, of course, that if you take the time to know what you want to write and then create all of the text in a Word document and then copy and paste it so that there's less risk of you losing everything that you've saved in there. Typically, in all of these sections on this CCP document, the light gray text is the full piece of information that if you read it should give you everything you need to know. The dark bolded text bullet immediately below and right above the text block where you can type in what you need to say gives you the minimum expectations. So in this case, under goal statement, an acceptable goal clearly states what you are working towards and is time limited. So what you are working towards and is when you anticipate achieving it. Then the initial reflection, and if you prefer to do your initial reflection before you write your goal, because that's just how you would prefer to, that's just how your brain works. It's, I want to understand why I'm doing something before I say what I'm going to do. That's fine. The program will allow you to work in either order. But in this initial reflection section, you want to describe the reason, the experience, or situation that prompted you to create the goal that you've created, your why. And an acceptable initial reflection reflects why you created the goal, how you plan to achieve it, and give some context to your occupational therapy practice. So as we continue, we're then going to scroll down to the domain, and you have access to the link to the Competencies for Occupational Therapists in Canada document that will give you all of the information about the domain of the competency domain that you're going to choose from. When you go to the drop-down menu, you'll be able to sort of select from the domains that are available in that document. In this case, awesome is picking excellence in practice. You'll see there are several prompts to push save for later below so that you do not lose your information. And now it's time for that learning activity record. When you click on learning activity record or to add one, you have this form that opens up, and the learning activity gives you a drop down of things that you can choose from. She's chosen consultation or networking with colleagues or others, and you can provide a more detailed description. So in this case, she's attended a supervision group. The date that she completed that supervision, and she's going to use the actual calendar. And so that was on January 9th. And then below that is the learning activity reflection. So this is her thoughts and experience of that particular learning activity. There's an assumption that therapists do many learning activities to achieve an annual goal. In this case, Awesome is going to describe one key takeaway that she got from participating in the peer supervision group on a monthly basis over the past year, and the impact that that key takeaway had on her competence. Ideally, she will also include a scenario where that takeaway could have been applied or was applied, whether that's in a clinical context or in some other context, depending on her role. Now, there is, again, that icon below that square that gives her the option to add a supporting document. It is not required. A supporting document is not required unless it expands on the reflection that you have just put into the box. So if it is sort of a repeat of it or proof that you attended a workshop, you're a regulated health professional. We trust that if you are putting this information here and are signing off to say that everything that you have entered is true, that's the case. So that box, as you can see, can open up quite a bit larger. And we encourage you to do that so that you can see the information in more of a one glance. And again, repeating that pro tip, type your content into a Word document and then copy and paste it into this box when you're ready to work with this. It'll allow you to have, to forget to push save for later and still not lose the information because you'll still have it in your Word document. Further down, you're going to go back and you're going to go and tackle your goal status. So the larger goal that you set at the top of the page, let's just carefully scroll up so you don't get dizzy. This is different from the learning activity record, right? The learning activity record is one of likely many learning activities that you engaged in to achieve your goal. But this is about the what you were going to do and by when you were going to do it. How did it go? Is it ongoing or is it completed? So again, please read the text in this block. So describe how working towards your goal enhanced your competence in the provision of OT services to the public. And in that space below, enter your reflections. An acceptable goal status reflection describes how working towards your goal enhanced your competence and provision of services. It also describes a scenario illustrating how your goal enhanced your competence by referring to at least one indicator of competency. And that's one of the indicators in the competencies of occupational therapists in Canada. If you choose ongoing instead of completed, you will need to finish that goal in the upcoming year. In terms of referencing one indicator of the competencies, if you have any questions about that, you can take a look at the competencies document. It does define what competencies are and what indicators are in one of the earlier pages. If you're still not sure, by all means, please do reach out. And again, ensure that your reflection is robust. You can increase the size of that text box quite substantially. And below that goal status reflection, you have access to little check boxes that reference each of the new standards of practice and code of ethics. Please choose whichever might be relevant to this goal. In Awesome's case, she is choosing communication and responsibilities to clients in the code of ethics, and service provision and risk management and safety. Seeing push save for later below. Strongly recommend that you push save for later before you toggle to the college selected activity, because you could lose your information. So we're going to click save for later or next. Both of them will save your text. So we're still at the learning plan stage, the member selected. We're going to toggle to the college selected activity next. We can do that at the top, or again, everything has been saved at the bottom. So here is where you will find the current standard of practice code of ethics module. Unfortunately, because Awesome was created as a fake occupational therapist after renewal opened, she had to complete the standard of practice and code of ethics as part of her licensing process. So, however, in the upcoming year, you will be required to complete the sexual assault, sexual misconduct module again, and that will be available in this college selected tab. If you have not completed the college selected learning activity, this is where you will see the link to it, and it will ask you if you want to progress to that. So we're going to go home, and we can see that both profile update and the 2024-2025 learning plan have check marks. And the cursor is showing us here that the standard of practice code of ethics module was passed. It's still available. You can do that module as many times as you would like. It is an open book exam. It's intended to ensure that registrants have some familiarity with it. So let's go there and show you what that will look like if you went through. And if you clicked OK, you will see the instructions as well as links to the standards of practice and code of ethics. Strongly recommend that you open them on other pages. Just so you're oriented here, each heading references a particular standard of practice or code of ethics, and then it tells you that it's question 1 out of 25, the question, and the different options, the multiple choice. The minute you click one of these, you will automatically be given an answer, and you will not be able to change your mind. So the only way to move on, if you've changed your mind, is to start from scratch and kind of go back and begin again from the top. So be very careful. So it tells you that you're incorrect. You cannot change your answer. Once you get all the way to the bottom, you will be able to, once you've finished all of them, you'll be able to hit submit. But until you actually finish them, and I'm not going to do them well with you right now, because that would be beyond open book. But again, I started that, and so it's now marked pending because I didn't finish it. I just added the first. And so there's the first one still wrong. So we're going to go back home. And we can now see that we've updated the 2024-2025 plan. Those both have check marks, but we can still update them. We have that access. And we can begin the 2025-2026 learning plan. And this is going to be a bit of rinse and repeat. This looks pretty much the same as the 2024-2025. They both have the member selected tab and the college selected tabs. But in blue, we can see it says 2025-2026. And so again, we're going to scroll down and we're going to write our goal. What do we want to achieve by when? And we're going to put in here why, the how as a possibility, and the context in which your current practice goal is being established. And tentatively choose a domain. Now, below this blue bar are things that you will complete throughout the registration year. So from March 1st onwards. Same with the college selected activity. So clicking either next or save for later, we'll save that. And you can now see that you have checkboxes for profile update, learning plan, and 2024-2025 learning plan, and the 2025-2026 learning plan. And now renewal is available, which means that you can complete your good standing declarations, read each of those questions and answer them appropriately. Awesome is a quick reader and is answering those questions promptly. And again, below that are the declarations in terms of that you have insurance of a minimum of $5 million in coverage that you personally hold, that you are agreeing to abide by the standards of practice and code of ethics for ACOT, and that the information that you have completed to this point is, to the best of your knowledge, true. And when you are done, you again have the option to withdraw, which means that everything you have done from steps 1 through 4 will be deleted. So be very careful to not select that. You can save for later, in which case you will not proceed to the payment page, or you can submit, in which case you cannot edit anything further in your personal profile or your 2024-2025 CCP. So Awesome has clicked Save for Later. You can see that this means that she can update any portion of her CCP and renewal. All of them have access to the update buttons. That's still pending. Don't worry about that. As long as there's one that has passed, you will be able to do this. If you would like that section cleaned up, if you've kind of gone into the Standard of Practice Code of Ethics module multiple times and have a few pendings and would like those deleted, just shoot an email and say, could we please do that? And we can definitely delete that. So long as you have passed once, and we can see Awesome's list there. She has passed on the 15th of January. So she's going to click Update, and we're going to make those payments. Again, her declarations are still saved because she clicked Save for Later. But this time she's going to hit Submit. And it is now before February 14th. So she has access to the early bird general register renewal, which is $550. If this was February 15th or later, it would be $650. And the form will not be processed without payment. So if you are close to that February 14th date and you're thinking, oh, you'll hold off on payment, I'd strongly suggest that you pay so that you don't forget and don't automatically get put into the late renewal. That's $650. So her name, her street number, her zip code, and she's going to click Pay. And here we go. So she's going to enter her, I'm not sure why that says US dollars. It will not bill you in US dollars. I took a screenshot of that so that we could get some confirmation that that's perhaps some kind of artifact of the test environment. And so I'm making up a card number here and throw in an expiry date. And this is our test environment, so I can make things up and not get a bill. And we're going to hit pay. And she's done. So you can see that she has an active permit that is the current 2025 expiry, and then the new one that has a 2026 expiry date. And that is it. You can access your permit and your tax receipt by clicking on either of those buttons. And any other information that you may want is also accessible there. And we're going to log out. Actually, I'm just going to stop that video. It's going to pause here for the moment. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help. This can be, this can feel like a lot. Break it down into smaller steps. Do step 1, take a break, come back and do step 2. Step 2 is going to be the largest. Steps 3 and 4 can go fairly quickly. But step 2, where you are completing this year's continuing competence program, evaluating your goal, how things went, will probably take you the most time of any of it. If you've had to make changes, here's an important piece. If you've had to make changes to your personal profile, specifically things where you've had to update your name, if you had a name change, or if you've had an employment change where the employer isn't in the drop-down menu and you need to add that to the list, our admin team does need some time to review that and approve it and make that kind of work at the back end. So it may delay renewal. Please take the time to do the personal update as soon as you can so that there is no delay and you don't sort of accidentally get pushed into the $650 per year renewal rate, especially if you're trying to get done before the 14th of February. All right. So if there are any questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out, contact ACOT directly or by phone or email. We're happy to help.